And then from there, we'll take some time for the council to sort of process what they've heard. And then I believe the Councilman Bradford is prepared to make a motion. And the council members then will cast their votes, and then we'll know what the future holds. And so with that, Director Prairie, we'll go ahead and invite you to come forward. And thank you.
But first, let's start the meeting out with somebody's birthday on the council. So we invited all these people here to say happy birthday and give me cupcakes. So there you go. Blow up the candle. 42 years old? Yeah. Again, that works. Okay, good. Perfect. Hopefully everybody can hear me all right. So what I want to do is kind of go through and give everybody a brief, I'll try and keep it very brief, sometimes it can get long-winded, of how things went this year. It's been a very busy summer for Idaho Falls Power and Idaho Falls Fiber, as you guys can tell, I'm sure, from all of the construction in and around this area of town. I want to start also with a couple of questions. I guess the first question I have is, I'm sure there's people in the audience that own stocks and maybe some local business owners, but I guess who in the crowd here in the community owns a power company? So does anybody own a power company? So anybody who lives in this area or lives in the city of Idaho Falls, raise your hand. You own a power company, which is really a unique thing. So this summer we had shirts made up, and we've been giving some of these out. Is proud owner of a public power utility. So Idaho Falls Power is a unique community. Since 1900, we have owned our own electric utility. So you own a power company, you own a power utility. We operate our own hydroelectric facilities, and we also, with that, have some of the lowest rates in the nation. So it's a very unique perspective that we enjoy here. I guess here's another question. Hopefully everybody can get this one right. Who here owns a fiber optic network? So if you live in the city of Idaho Falls, you now own a fiber optic network, which is also pretty cool. So it's, if you look at it, it's following a similar progression of what the city's done in the past. So definitely some visionary people that have, from 1900 even through to today, that continue to look down the road of what type of utilities to build. So with that, it was unique what we set out this year to do, and was to prove that we could leverage our existing electric utility infrastructure to bring fiber optic connections to residential homes throughout a community and throughout an area, and do it at a price that's economical. And we've done what's really, to my knowledge, first of kind, where we leverage the conduit in the ground for the electric utility and rotted microduct through the existing conduits, and even followed our electric services up to some homes that they have conduit and pop out at the electric meter. What this means is we can do things at a very affordable price to help drive down those network costs. So how did our fiber optic network grow this year that we own? So on this pilot project, we installed over 2 miles of overhead fiber. We installed over 10 miles of fiber in existing conduit. We installed over 12 miles of new fiber in new conduit. So that's the Stonebrook and Canterbury area where we had to do the rotting in the ground. And then over 13 miles of new electrical conduit also. So everybody that had the crews in their backyard, I appreciate you being patient with all the crews. Hopefully everything got put back where it was, and we made it as painless as possible. And the nice thing is we have conduits in the ground, so in the event that we start having failures in that electrical infrastructure, we don't have to dig in your yard again. We can go in and just pull in a new electrical conduit for you. I also want to say this really wouldn't be possible without all the hard work of the staff and the contractors that we had on site. Anybody that lives in the area and saw the flurry of all the contractors. We had over 50 subcontractors in town doing this amazing project and working within, all of your backyards and trying to get this infrastructure put in place. So, anybody who's staff of Idaho Falls Power Fiber, raise your hand, and I want to acknowledge you guys in the back. And everybody, thank you very much. So currently we're past over 1,250 residences. So we have 1,250 customers we've passed by for our fiber network. We have 305 to date as of this morning connected to our fiber network, and that's growing at a rate of 4 to 6 per day as fast as we can install, which is continuing to push our crews. We're working overtime, we're working weekends, we're doing the best we can to get this installed before the snow starts hitting. So really we've been excited and happy with the take rates that we've seen. It really is exceeding our expectations of the support we've had from the community. And it also wouldn't be possible without our providers. When we first built the network and we're starting to get close to bringing it online, we're very concerned in making sure that providers and the internet providers understood how an open access architecture worked, where we build the fiber line and then the customers, you guys in the community, can choose who you want to buy your internet from. And we have 4 providers currently on the residential network that are providing. Those are QuickNet, and I think we have some people here from QuickNet, Silver Star, Sumo, and Direct Communications. I think there's some representatives from all those entities here tonight celebrating this great event. The other one that I really want to reach out to that made this, the other entity that made this really happen, and I can't stress this enough, we wouldn't be where we are today with being able to construct and operate this network without Utopia. Utopia's been a key business partner with us. The software that operates the open access architecture is actually Utopia's software. It would be very difficult for us to stand up a network like this and develop that type of software on our own or go buy that. And with them being a not-for-profit entity, they're out of Utah, we were able to partner with them and do things in a cost-effective and efficient manner. So I believe Aaron's here from Utopia, and can't thank you enough for the great partnership that we've had and continue to hopefully have in the years going forward. So now what do we learn from the pilot? So I'm gonna hit this at a very high level. What we set out to do a year ago when the council said go build a pilot project was, can we build a highly reliable broadband fiber network and do it at a price that's affordable and economic, that can make, bring the service to the community and have it pay for itself over time. And one of the premise of building a utility is that the customers want it, the community supports it, and they're gonna pay for it along the way and be a success. What we've proved with this is by leveraging our existing dark fiber network that we built started in 1998, continued to build out to commercial businesses in 2002. Leveraging that existing fiber network coupled with our electric infrastructure, we've shown we can do it. Some of the concerns we had was, can we put microduct through electrical conduit, come out of transformers, and have those facilities co-located without causing operational problems, and what price can we do it for? When we looked at the numbers and we looked at the subscription rates, I have a high degree of confidence that we can pay for this network and it will stand on its own and be completely, 100% paid for in 11 years. Now that's based upon the assumptions of the take rates, the subscriptions that we're seeing right now from, you guys, the owners in the community. The beauty about owning your own fiber network is the more people we get on the fiber network within the community, the lower we can push that price. So the higher the take rates, the lower the price can be for everybody, because being a not-for-profit entity, we don't have stockholders or shareholders to pay, dividends to or rates of return. As we, can deliver a product for less money, we just drive the price down, and the community shares in that benefit. So with that, after looking at where the prices of construction came in and where our take rates are currently at for subscriptions, I'm going to propose effective January 1st, to move the price of the connection to $25 a month to be connected to the fiber network. Currently, you pay $30 a month, and we put that number out there because we didn't know where costs were. And I told everybody on the front end that I wanted to be conservative and make sure that, you know, the worst thing I want to do is, you know, overpromise and under-deliver. So I felt like I had some room in there so we could figure out where the costs are coming in. Take rates are looking really good. We're getting lots of support. So effective January 1st, proposing we're going to move the rate down to $25 per month, which should help us because I'd love to see, you know, all-in internet, 250 megs up and down, be sub $60. Obviously, that is determined based upon what providers can price things at, but we're really close. And I feel like that's a superior product for a really good price. So we're excited for that. The biggest thing is, I think for, you know, the council to consider is, you know, when we built the electric system, and in the electric utility, if you can build infrastructure of this type, or even water utilities, if they can pay back in a 30, 40-year time frame, that's a success. Obviously, broadband networks, technology changes a lot faster. So when you start looking at an investment in the community to bring this type of connectivity and do it on a conservative basis in 11 years and pay for all this infrastructure, it seems like a win for our community. And I feel like the take rates that I've put in are conservative. If we continue to have support and more people in the community joining this network, we can continue to lower prices and we can continue to pay for this faster. And then it just kind of self-perpetuates itself with lower prices, better service, and that's really our ultimate goal, is to provide a superior product. So overall, that's my view of how the pilot wrapped up. I think it's been a great success and a great partnership with, you know, local providers and the community. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bear. I will go with what your preference is. If council members have questions, would you like for them to ask now, or would you like for them to ask later when they're deliberating?
Like when you deliberate.
Okay. Okay. So save your questions, council members, and we'll grill you later. Okay. What we have done at this time is we've invited several members of the community who had expressed an interest in sharing some feedback with the council to do so, and we've allotted, you know, some time for that. And so I believe that the plan is to hand them a microphone. If you would do that, Mayor, as they come up. I believe that the first person who wanted to share comments ended up submitting them in writing because she had to go on a work trip or something. And so Jolynn Hansen, who's an Idaho Falls Power employee, will be reading these comments from, is it Jamie Breathwaite?
My name is Jamie Breathwaite. My husband Garth and I live at 3860 Woodhaven Lane in Stonebrook Community. We have 7 children, 2 attending Taylorview Middle School, 3 attending Sunnyside Elementary, 1 preschooler, and 1 at home. I became president of the Stonebrook Homeowners Association in 2016. One of our main conversations was helping to find a faster internet solution to our community. We moved to Idaho Falls in 2014. My husband works remotely from his office in our home for Adobe as a software engineer. He travels to San Francisco once a quarter to the main office. A large portion of his day is spent in video conferences. Download speeds and upload speeds are a very important part of his job. With cable speeds, we were lucky if we got less than or around 90 Mbps download and a good day, and 10 upload speed. Now our direct line's fiber speed is more than 900% faster, with 914 Mbps download and 925 upload. And on our wireless network, we get 534 and 431 upload. Now our household can stream on multiple devices, smart TVs, and never interrupt Garth's video conference. It is amazing. Thank you, City of Idaho Falls Power and Fiber, for your work to help our community attract others in the technology fields like my husband and our family.
Very nice, very nice. All right, hopefully they'll all be nice, but we never know. We might get some constructive feedback, which I think we would all appreciate. So I believe Michael Maloney, you're poised to, you want to introduce not just your comments, but also yourself?
Yes, I'm Michael Maloney. I serve on the Stonebrook HOA board as well. I wasn't really as instrumental in the beginning, I think, with the communication with the city, as bringing this in, and maybe we were just lucky to be part of the pilot project, but we were super excited to see that come to fruition. So I think I was like, maybe, I had to have been on the first day, I think, when they started installing fiber. So I watched really closely because I know some of the residents have expressed some concerns that there might be, tearing up the yard, and how are they going to be. I know that my particular instance seemed like it was a little bit more challenging for the crew because I live against Sunnyside and had to come under the wall. I think they were there for probably 5 or 6 hours. But I was super impressed with the communication that I got from the people who were installing. I was super impressed with the job that they did putting the yard back together, taking into consideration where I wanted the fiber to enter the home, and they were able to accommodate all my hopes and really do a great job in that way. I will give a little bit of constructive feedback. So when I went to sign up, I went through Silver Star, and I started kind of thinking, oh, am I going to need to buy some more equipment? I have a wireless router that I think is sufficient in my home, but I wasn't sure about a modem or what they call an ONT. Is that what they say? ONT. So I asked Silver Star, do I need to purchase a new modem type thing? They said, we don't know. I think you do, because we don't provide any equipment unless you do one of our higher tier systems. So I thought that I'd heard from you that we weren't going to need to buy any, so I called Idaho Falls Power. They put me in touch with someone in the fiber office. They didn't know either. So I kind of thought, I'm pretty sure Bear had mentioned that we didn't need to buy any equipment, so I just waited for them to show up, and indeed I did not need to purchase any additional equipment. They brought in the modem device. So if that was going to be a worry for anyone else, that's something that they shouldn't worry about. I just thought I'd bring that up so that you guys would know that some of your people, maybe they know at this point because I was a little early on, but all the residents should know that you don't have to buy any equipment.
Is the modem wireless, or?
The modem is not wireless, it's just like and I just plugged in my existing router. They just pulled it out and stuck it in, and everything just came alive. Do you need a?
No, we can answer questions at the end.
Okay. But yeah, I've been super impressed with the speeds. It's been rock solid. It did go down the first day I got it, but it was because of wireless cut. They were super responsive. They got it back up and running very quickly. That gave me a lot of confidence that this is a for real kind of thing, and it wasn't like, oh, we don't know what's going on. They just got it back on quickly. So.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments, Mr. Maloney.
Thank
How
you.
about Bonnie Trudell?
Short word, so.
Hey, my name is Adi Trudell. I live over here in Waterford. I'm the president of the HOA for Waterford. And we were really early on Silver Star. We went with them also. And our experience was A+. Everything went in so quickly. They were able to, you're saying, run everything in from a box out in the street up into our garage. We didn't have to have anything done as far as in our yard, and the work was just impeccable. Our communication back and forth with the city and with Silver Star was great, and I couldn't ask for anything better from those guys. As far as the pricing standpoint, for our family, there's 2 kids, 2 adults, and we're paying, I think, maybe $2 more a month than what we were before, and with speeds that are very similar to what you read earlier. I think when they came in and we did a speed test, it was like 938 up and 938 down, and 5 something wirelessly. It's incredible, and we've got all kinds of devices on. We pretty much stream everything, and I'm just happy that it's here. So that's what I got.
Thank you, Mr. Trudell.
Yeah.
I would note that my notes say that you're in phase 2, and in phase 2, indeed, that was where the conduit was already in the ground, and all we had to do was snake fiber through that. So
Yeah.
you didn't have. That's why your yard wasn't torn up.
That's right.
All right. Our next speaker, I'm told, is Ruth Kelch.
He's not here.
Okay. Well, if Ruth shows up, let us know, and give me a signal, and we'll bring her up. And then how about Chris Virgin? Is Chris here? All right, well, looks like we might have a moment or two. Are there any others who might wish to share some feedback, positive or negative, that council needs to hear?
Can I ask a question?
We'll save questions for later. Right now, I think we're in information mode. But we have some staff who can answer questions afterward, and we'll.
Well, I'd like to direct it to the council, not to staff.
Okay, well, then it'll be a rhetorical question, because we're not gonna dialogue, we're just gonna hear.
No, yeah.
All right, you're welcome to take the mic and pose your question.
My name is Joe Stanislav, and I live at 662 Tindway. I've been trying to get fiber for a few years now. I used to live downtown, and now I'm outside of it. I see your plans for the future of next year, and I'm still outside of your where you're going with it. I wonder why is it taking so long to deploy the whole thing, and whether or not the city council is actually taking 5G into consideration, whether it's coming in, because it's coming in the next year or two. And that's gonna be a direct competitor to this, and is this then worth it for the city of Idaho Falls, or whether or not Verizon or AT&T should be actually putting the fiber in?
We'll get an answer, and in fact, Mary, that may be something that one of the council members might want you to answer during the council Q&A shortly. Are there others who would like to address the council with any comments about the pilot? Our purpose tonight is to evaluate the pilot, gather information, evaluate that data, and then make a decision about going forward. And so anything you have to share would be helpful. You're welcome to come up. We just ask you to mind the time, since we don't want to be here till the wee hours.
I'm Brandon Farr. I live in the Ridgewood Park subdivision. I have fiber. I love it. It's an excellent experience. Crews are awesome. The only, I guess, troubling thing for me, like through the whole process, was connecting my RJ45 adapters, which is like the switch from what RJ11s. Is that what comes off of the phone line, and putting on those? So I guess when they left my house, I was left to do that by myself, and it was fine for me, but I was just like trying to get the speeds right a few times. So I don't know if that's something to watch out for in other homes. It could be a negative experience for other people, so just something to watch out for. But I do love the service. I'm happy with it, and the price I'm at is pretty comparable to where I was before. So.
Very good, thank you. So got that RJ45 problems. All right, others who have any comments to share? All right, well with that, you're welcome to buttonhole a council member afterward if you still have things you might want to share. And we're going to move on to the next phase, council members, which is time for you to make comments or to pose questions to Bear Prairie. Let's start with asking questions of Bear. And Bear, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. I have two questions, but how long, I've learned tonight that we're still installing like crazy. The weather's starting to turn. How far into the season will we be working in the area that we're in?
Well, once the ground freezes, what we will likely end up doing, because we can't bury it because it's frozen, we'll end up laying fiber along the fence line and getting it into the home, and then coming back in the early spring as soon as we get a thaw and burying it. It's pretty typical construction standards that the other telecom companies do, and we're going to follow that same process. And in the event that somebody trips over it or ends up getting damaged or whatever, we'll just go back and fix it back at no cost. So until we get it buried.
Okay, and then one other question I have for you. Please don't roll your eyes at me, but I'm gonna try to pose this in a way that I hope makes sense. But the city council sits as the board of directors of Idaho Falls Power. And so right now our authority is to help manage that power utility. And as this utility is taken on, this electric utility has taken on a fiber project, we haven't taken on the fiber project just for the sake of providing fiber.
Correct.
We're providing it because it will increasingly be a tool that helps to deliver excellent electric service. Can you just describe what that means?
Correct, yeah, happy to. It's a great question. So if you dig into what the future holds for the coming 5 to 10 years down the pipe in the electric utility, is demand side management, time of day pricing, time of day rates, the ability for as EVs get deployed for the customers to opt in to programs where It's a bi-directional electric system, so you can opt into a rate where the electric utility can actually draw electricity off of your electric vehicle. A lot of the new fridges that are coming out, and this is all, you know, kind of cutting edge stuff, has the ability for the electric utility to turn off your refrigerator or your freezer for a half hour to save over their peaks, and these are all opt-in programs that utilities are starting to test pilot, and we've done stuff like that in the past here with water heaters and thermostats to try and find ways to keep electric rates low, and then also to help us with our morning and evening peaks. Obviously, building new generation resources is expensive. Building new transmission lines is very expensive and difficult, so that's kind of what the future holds. So what a fiber network allows us to do is to gain that connectivity. We played around with and did some testing in the Smart Grid Demonstration Project, which is through the Department of Energy in 2012, to test using our AMI metering system and the Wi-Fi network to get that telemetry with the electric meter, and then also with smart thermostats and water heater programs. And what we found was with Wi-Fi, it was very intermittent and hit and miss as far as its reliability. So we feel that we're future-proofing ourselves by having a hardline connection to the homes to interact with how the customers use electricity to offer, start offering those type of future products. This is stuff that's coming out, 5 to 10 years from now, but you'll start to see and hear more of how the, connectivity to the home and the electric utility are starting to merge.
Thank you.
Director Perry. We had the issue of 5G brought up, and I think the hint was that 5G will surpass us and put this need not to exist. Could you address that?
Sure. That's a question that, it's frankly a question that I get asked a lot. It's a question that I had 4 or 5 years ago of, isn't everything going to go wireless? Isn't that just a lot easier solution than running all of this fiber and infrastructure? And, the phrase I always used was, if we could deliver electricity without wires, it'd save everybody a bunch of money. So, broadband's a service, you can do that. What I've learned over time is that even with the deployment of 5G, each 5G tower that they put up, the microcell sites have anywhere from 4 to 8 pairs of fiber that have to go direct back to the individual towers. That's 4 to 8 fibers for each carrier, for each cell site. And these are not like a traditional cell tower that can do 7, 8 miles. A 5G antenna is line of sight and very short wave. It doesn't penetrate through buildings very well, doesn't penetrate through trees. So if you go to cities and you see them built, they try to really get them out in the corners to where they can get line of sight so they don't get that signal degradation. The other thing is, if you look at what the needs are early on when 4G got deployed, and this is my point of view, others can certainly have different points of view. When 4G first got deployed, there's a lot of people that was fulfilling all of their internet needs. A lot of people now could even fill their internet needs at their speeds. As you look out in the future and you're talking about, 3D shopping, holograms, you're streaming, that's gonna even tax a 5G network. So if you look at putting everything for internet on a 5G network, the amount of infrastructure that the cell carriers need to do is gonna be an amazing feat. At the end of the day, if that's where the transition is, we will have fiber there to serve that. We currently serve the existing cell companies now on our dark fiber network, so we're already in that service business with them. So.
Thank you. Director Prairie, there was a comment related to our installation times during the pilot project. What are your thoughts on how quickly our crews are implementing, and are we meeting best practices, for lack of a better term?
So obviously, everything's a ramp-up process, so we're gonna, if we have direction to move forward, we'll continue to ramp up and staff accordingly. The other thing that happened with this, the pilot phase, is we bit off a large amount of work in a short period of time because we wanted to get the conduit installed in as short a time as possible. So we did really a year's worth of work, at least a building year's worth of work. So 8 months worth of work in 3 months. And then so all of the customers came eligible for service at once. So it's a big chunk. In the future deployments, it will be more of a phased approach. So as we pull the fiber down a street, then we'll go through and we're able to connect and offer service. So it's a little more of a staged approach as we roll it out. So this one was, also we had 400 customers today are eligible for service. So then it's a catch-up process. But in the future it'll be 30, 40 homes, get eligible for service, and then 2-3 weeks later, another 20, 30, so it'll be more of a continuous rollout. Yeah, instead of a big chunk with a pilot phase like we did.
Come back to the connectivity that you mentioned regarding, and I mean, in my own head, based on some of the conferences we've been to, it seems like we would potentially have 28,000 different systems going based on how a user wants to use the system or have batteries in their house to take in during low load and use the battery during high load and all different billing. That's why the fiber makes all kinds of sense. Just the back and forth amount of information is gonna have to go to make that work. Am I right? Is that right?
Yeah, people are wanting to interact with the utility on a more, the future is even time of day pricing, time of hour pricing, if customers wanna participate in programs like that. So it really is becoming a two-way electric grid. And you see that now with solar. Anybody who has solar on their roof, they're interacting with the utility on a bi-directional basis. So they're selling electricity back to the utility, and then other times they're taking electricity from the utility depending on what their supply and demand balance is.
Director Perry, one of the comments was that I wondered why this is taking so long. When did the pilot start?
We started the initial construction in the overhead phase north of Tophus in the late fall of last year, so we're about
a year into
the
it.
1 year mark. We didn't start construction of the direct buried underground until, I believe it was May? Late May, Jace? Is when we started doing the boring and the Stonebrook.
When winter weather subsided enough to allow it.
And then we
So,
got cruise mode.
if the council votes tonight to move forward and move out of pilot and go into a full bore, become a fiber city, what is your estimation of how long it might take to get a citywide build out?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a 4-year process. Obviously, we're gonna go to the areas that we can get the most impact in the shortest possible time. Also gonna concentrate on areas that we have old or failing electric infrastructure that we need to replace anyway. So while we're in there, we might as well, just like we did in Stonebrook, if we're in there, we might as well put in conduit. And in some of the areas where we do have that really aging electric, we will go ahead and install new electric lines at that same time. So it just depends on the construction types and techniques, but a 4-year build out to cover most of the city. It might run into 5 years as far as some little pockets that are harder to get to. But I think we could make a pretty big chunk in a couple of years.
All right, this side has no questions? No.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You have to turn it on, I think.
I'm just curious about how you're gonna determine which neighborhoods you're gonna go to next. I'd like to think that people would like to.
Our next areas are gonna be areas that we can instantly jump on constructing. So a lot of those are gonna be the overhead, where we already have overhead power lines, what we demonstrated with the area north of Tophus Park. That's really easy for us to construct. We have, 118 years of putting stuff on poles. Most of the infrastructure around the city is our poles and our structures. So there's areas that are overhead, especially east of downtown is a likely area that we have the map in the back that we go to next. And then we also on the west side of town have some failing some underground direct bury that we've had an increase in ground faults in there. So we'll definitely focus on that because either way, we need to get in there and replace that infrastructure.
Any other questions, council, for Director Perry? All right, then it's time for council to talk about any thoughts you might have, comments.
Question.
We'll do questions after to allow you to get data. So, council members, do you have any inputs or thoughts or things that are on your mind? Are we ready for a motion? Where do you want to go? All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it to you then, Councilman Radford.
Just a few comments as we went through this. I didn't ask questions because Bear's tired of my questions along with Jay's. For 4 years, this is something that we've been working on in terms of the vision and how this is all going to work. And I appreciate everyone's efforts. It's been amazing to watch this grow from ideation and from a need that our electrical utility has. So the reality is we're going to be coming with fiber to these data centers at each home anyway. Why not pass on that bandwidth to customers when we're there? And so this made an amazing amount of sense. So I'm really grateful for that. As Bear said, we have a lot to look forward to in our communities, right? We have, as elected officials, we want to look forward to our children's children and what really is needed for them, right? And when you think about the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, roads and sewers and that type of infrastructure was really necessary for cities to become what they are and why we live in a good atmosphere. In our next phase of development in our culture and in what's happening, the next thing is going to be driverless cars, driverless drones, virtual travel, where we can see the Great Wall of China in person in our living rooms because the cameras will make that happen for us. We'll have virtual visits inside homes with holograms where our grandkids will be in the same room with us. That's not possible though if we don't build this infrastructure for us in Idaho Falls, right? If we build the infrastructure and make a fair playing ground for the providers, then we have an amazing amount of opportunity for everyone to work, live, and play right in their homes, and hopefully get outside as well. Forget about that. We need to make sure this happens, and I'm very supportive of this. We budgeted in this current financial year for the potential, if the pilot proved out our business case, to continue to expand the network. Bear and Idaho Falls Power and Fiber needs direction from us as the governing board of the utility on what we believe is in the best interest of our city with the information we have learned over the past year from the pilot. Therefore, I make a motion to direct Idaho Falls Fiber to continue to expand the fiber network with the budgeted funds and follow the business model as Bear has presented to us here tonight and in our utility board meetings.
I proudly second that motion.
Thank you. We have a motion that's valid, and I think if there are no questions that council members have, any concerns, we're going to go ahead and ask the city, Linda Lundquist, who is an Idaho Falls Power Board Secretary, she is acting as our clerk for this meeting this evening. We'll ask you to conduct a roll call vote. Thank you. Francis?
Aye.
Dingman?
Yes.
Smead?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Hallie?
Yes.
Radford?
A hearty aye.
Thank you. All right, well, this is pretty exciting. I know that you're containing your enthusiasm, but in reality, the city of Idaho Falls has now just taken, I think, a major step toward greater economic vibrancy. We hear all the time that new business, modern business, needs connectivity and needs speed to be able to get the work done. We've taken a step toward people being able to have home-based businesses that are more successful, just like in the first comment we heard from the letter Jolynn read. We have, as was mentioned, we've sort of future-proofed our city. or we will be. We're taking the steps toward that. Hopefully in 5 years, we're all gonna be done with buffering, right? We're gonna be done with the things that will be in the past. So congratulations, council members. Congratulations, utility and fiber. And I'll just say one other thing, and that is philosophically, it really makes sense for cities to be in the infrastructure business, the wires, the poles, the conduits, the pipes. And it makes sense for private sector to do what private sector does best. And this project is a marriage of those two things. And so we feel pretty good about it, just about every way you can think about it. This feels pretty good to me. And so I'm very excited. And you can bet, I'm going to Boise for meetings tomorrow with other city leaders from throughout the state. I'm going to be strutting and bragging as much as I can make a stand. They might kick me out of the room, but I'm so excited for our community. I know you have a raffle, a drawing, and I also know that you may want to share if there's anything else you didn't share about what the future holds.